At least 8 people have been killed and 6 firefighters hospitalised following an explosion in Boksburg on Saturday morning. EMS says a gas tanker allegedly got stuck under a bridge and caught fire. It's understood that the tanker exploded as firefighters were busy extinguishing the flames. Our reporter Linda Mnisi is on the scene and joins us now. Linda, great to catch up with you this morning. What are some of the scenes that you are seeing?
All right, Chigo, so we're in one of the routes that's connecting to the subway where the incident happened. In fact, it happened on Hospital Street, right next to OR Tambo Memorial Hospital here. And as you can see, a number of roads barricaded, preventing people from entering into the scene. If you look, at this particular road, this is where the incident happened. Just down the road, that is where the underground, subway, where the incident took place. But as you can imagine, there are quite a number of family members that are quite stressed at this moment, some looking for their loved ones, some whose loved ones are injured and had to be taken and rushed to hospital. We're going to get a sense of what is happening on this road in a moment. But I'm joined now by one family member who's looking for their loved one, who received a call informing her that there's been an accident, and she joins me now. Thank you so much for your time. I want us to talk about the call that you received and what you were informed at the time.
What I was informed at the time was my brother-in-law and the son were involved in an accident near the bridge. So I was like, where were they going? So my sister-in-law said, just rush, come to the Medicross clinic. We have taken the daughter there, and them. I thought they were all together, and I thought they were driving something, only to find out that this daughter was bent, very much bent, legs, hands, the whole back, she was bent there. And she said to me, what I have not noticed today, it was not good. They were taking videos thinking it's just an explosion. They didn't know that it's gas. And my sister-in-law witnessed, she saw the husband splitting in half because of the explosion, and the son was burnt, was in flames. She said she just took her jacket to cover the son, and she managed to run away also with her life. And the daughter is the one that we are much sure that she's alive, and her she's alive. But the son and the husband, right now, the husband, he was witnessed that he's dead. The son, we don't know at the moment. We are still hearing that there's a tall guy who is also dead there, but we haven't identified his body. So this is a bad tragedy that has happened to our family. We are in tears. We thought we were going to holiday. We have never witnessed such a tragedy like this.
And do they live around here? How did they find themselves in this particular area?
My sister-in-law, she lives just some few meters from where the explosion has happened. She lives just a street behind Old Tambo Hospital. So to them, they were just like, they are taking photos. My sister actually took a video on the first, I think maybe a flame. She took a video, she put actually on status, and on a video we could see that that's a son and the husband. But now she didn't know that there was another explosion that was going to come and take them away.
You're looking now, you've come to this road and we're told there are still people lying on the scene. You've just had a conversation with the police. You were hoping to identify, maybe if it is possible. What were you told? Myself, I'm not happy. I'm not quite happy with the police reaction. Right now, we have sent our son and the young brother, to other hospitals to identify, thinking maybe the young guy, the one who was covered by the mother, was taken by we assume that he was taken by the ambulance. But so far, they've gone to
other hospitals, Jimston, Alberton, Foslorus, there is no one. And above all, we are hearing that there is a body there that we want to identify. If he is, then we can be all together just here, just waiting for them to finish their work. So the police said, no. I don't know whether this is the right thing to do, but to me, it's not.
Okay. Talk to me then about how your husband is feeling, how you are feeling at this very moment after such a tragic incident.
My husband is quite devastated at the moment. The whole family, in fact, they are quite devastated. Others are on their way from Nelspruit, White River. The other brother is on the way from Wheatbank. They are also coming here. And the whole family, we are very much devastated with this. We never thought of it. We were thinking of just having our Christmas, nice Christmas as usual.
All right, I want to thank you so much for your time and condolences. Thank you very much for your time. All right, as you would have heard, there's some graphic descriptions, apologies to any viewer, sensitive viewers that may have been affected by the graphic description that we heard there. One of the family members still looking for some of their family members who they believe was affected by this particular incident. In fact, it takes me back to one of the conversations that I had with one of the bystanders, saying that there were quite a number of explosions, and some people were affected on the second explosion because they rushed to the scene to try and get some visuals, some videos, and that is where many of them were injured. I want to bring in Councillor Andrew Harris. Thank you so much for your time, Councillor. A devastating scene, a lot of devastated families around this particular area. If you can just give us a description of what the current scene looks like. We understand there's still some bodies still laying there on the ground.
Yeah, no, it really is a horrific day for Boksburg. I must say this. I've never seen anything like it. Down this road here, the entire bridge has collapsed. It was a massive explosion. We were sent word as councillors to please come to the area, and we're just assisting families that are incredibly traumatized. And it's still an active area. I must remind people, please avoid plantation if you can. It's still an active area, and the police are really trying to do their best to identify bodies. So, yeah, it's just a horrific scene, and bodies strewn all across the floor, body parts. It really is a horrific day for Boksburg.
Reports are suggesting that it is a fuel tanker that was stuck underneath that bridge. Is it a usual occurrence that fuel tankers would pass under that bridge? Do you know?
From the best of my knowledge, I would say no. And at first, we thought it was someone delivering oxygen to the hospital, but we understand it was a fuel tanker. And it appears he was carrying, I'm not 100% sure, LPG gas, and he hit the bottom of the bridge, which then exploded. But if you can see, this is a suburb, and I don't think massive trucks like that should be on our roads. There has to be negligence here somewhere. Has to be.
And let's talk about what kind of assistance then, as ward councillors, you're going to provide to these families, and particularly those who have lost their loved ones.
So, yeah, we're just giving out our numbers as best we can, and we'll get them in touch with social services from Ekurhuleni as well as disaster services, and we'll be reaching out to them as soon as we can. Just providing support, especially for it's been an incredibly traumatic experience for them. The most important thing we can do right now is just guide people where to go to identify their bodies, and just make sure if their loved ones have indeed been involved in this tragic accident, and that's the best we can do for now.
All right, thank you so much for your time. That's the PR Councillor Andrew Harris giving us perhaps a description of what the scene is looking like. Hugo, it's quite clear that there are still family members who are looking for their loved ones. It's believed this is still an active scene, so police are really cautioning people not to come to this particular area. I mean, we also tried ourselves to get closer, to get a glimpse of what was happening, but we understand that it's still an active scene. On the other side, on the rail tracks, you can already tell by the impact of that explosion how it impacted on the bridge itself, Hugo. So those are scenes that are playing themselves out here, what we've been able to witness so far.
Linda, Mnisi, thank you for that update. Now we stay on the scene because Erin Bates, who's also out in Boksburg, gives us another perspective. Erin, we catch up with you now. earlier we spoke certainly about the gory details that are coming through. You had a conversation with a man who was also looking for his two sons who were missing.
Yes, that's right. Charles Adolf came to the scene on the instructions or advice of his wife to come and look for his two adult sons. Happily for him, and he rushed up to me relieved to say that both his adult sons have been found. They were walking in the vicinity of that early morning explosion with that gas tanker, but fortunately survived. We understand now the official death toll is 10, likely to rise as the day wears on. According to the provincial government statement announcing that Premier Panyaza Lesufi will be here at 1 o'clock for a visit, saying that there are some 50 fatalities. But I'm joined now by Paul DeSantos. He was actually on his way to get bread and milk this morning at around 6:30 when things started to unravel. Paul, just tell us what happened this morning.
Hi, on the way, I'd just gone to the garage, and as I got into the garage, I heard like an explosion. My first anticipation thought it was maybe a power station, and then shortly thereafter was another 2 explosions. So then I left the milk and that. I just thought, no, something's not right because it was very close. It was quite an impact. So I got back into my car and we drove back on the way direction of the house. And then I saw smoke on our left-hand side. So then I backed up, reversed, came back into the road here, into Hospital Road. And by the time we just saw these massive flames coming from under the bridge here. So, and it was a gas tanker. And there were 2 cars underneath, and the 2 cars is what exploded, and that caused those explosions we heard. So we got out of the car, we tried to tell the guys, please get away from here. It's gas, it's not petrol, it's very dangerous. And people don't want to listen. So we thought, we can't go through the bridge because it's under fire. We drove around, came into this side of the bridge, and by the time we got here, there was easy, probably like 80 to 100 people outside here looking at what's going on. And the more us, myself, my son, and everybody else were trying to get people away there, some people were swearing at us to who the hell are you, and they just said they don't care. They went, and we thought, what the hell, are these guys stupid? Get away from this bloody thing because it's very dangerous. So they just ignored us. So then we thought, okay, the flames are big on that side. Let's just try and get people away from that side. We drove back. People don't want to listen again. There was no police to be seen, no way. So, and we're not police officers. People are not going to listen to us. So I was busy recording, and within about 12 seconds into my recording, the fire trucks were reversing. Because obviously they saw something was happening. There was something happening with the fire. And all of a sudden the thing exploded. I got thrown about 5 to 10 meters into my bakkie. My bakkie got smacked. My son was in the car. He got pushed further back into the bakkie. Got some damage on my bakkie as well. There was a guy that flew over me because I ran to the back of my bakkie after I fell to the floor underneath the car just to prevent from getting squashed by something. And then when I got out of the car, I thought it was a piece of debris, which was a guy that actually flew over my bakkie.
I just want to stop you there before we get into some of the details of what happened right after that second round of explosions. Of course, a warning to our viewers. We are describing a deadly scene here at the site of the explosion, not for sensitive viewers or listeners, as the case may be, because what happened here was, as I said earlier, apocalyptic. So please do bear that in mind. But you were saying that the gentleman who was thrown over your bakkie was quite severely injured. Yeah, because I at first thought it was debris, because it was the stuff, the shrapnel, everything was shooting everywhere. So when I got out of under my bakkie, it was actually a guy that flew over my bakkie. And when I looked at him, he was lying stomach down, face down, and the whole part of his back, like I can explain like this, completely gone. It's like a hole in his back. And just screaming, and people were just screaming over there. And I don't know what, I just thought, flipping, I can't see much damage over here, because a lot of the fire trucks had blocked most of the blast radius over there. So I came back this side. And when I came around this bend here, we were earlier, it was a scene like you see in the movies. It looked like zombies walking around. People, their skin, the clothes were melted all over them, and there was a guy with no leg, a kid with no arm. I mean, people crawling, it's like zombies. I mean, you don't see, it's not real. And yet again, there was no police. So when did you start seeing police and ambulances, would you say?
Well, probably half an hour, say about 15 minutes after the last impact, the last blast. And I don't know, I think from the first impact, like 20 to 7, until the last one, which is a good 40 minutes, police station not that far away from here. They surely could have heard, and they must have been aware something had happened. And I just feel if they had been here, They could have prevented people from going further, because, I mean, myself, people are not going to listen to us. They'll listen to the police. I just feel if the police were there, they could have prevented the death. I personally feel they could have prevented it. And it's shocking. I mean, those people that I saw crawling around are all lying dead there. And listen, it's not something that nobody wants to see. Yeah. Even my son is grossed out.
I mean, we're hearing the official death count at the moment is 10. Do you think that number is likely to increase?
More likely, because, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the firefighters were killed as well. They were right in the front there, because the fire truck, after the last impact, it exploded the fire truck as well.
And just to emphasize for people who don't know this road, we're talking about two sites of impact, really, because they're opposite ends of that bridge. Can you just explain a little bit of that scene and the two sites that you visited driving up and down?
Okay, well, it's right, the road right parallel to the hospital on both sides. I think it's Railway Road and Hospital Road. I mean, it's, if you go to Hospital Road, you can drive under the bridge going through to Boksburg East or town or whatever that is there. And yeah, I mean, I know the area quite well. I'm from not far from here. So I just came here just to try and see if we can help people. I mean, not expecting what we got here. I wasn't expecting, nobody was expecting their blast. I think none of these people that are lying dead there were expecting this. And when it went off, there's no time to react. I mean, it's out of your hands. Just boom, gone.
Paul, thank you very much for your time. I must say I have spoken to other eyewitnesses here. One gentleman who in fact took 3 injured persons to the nearby hospital, Tambo Hospital. He said on arrival the hospital was so full of survivors of the initial explosion or explosions, burned with severe third-degree burns, that they were turning people away. Of course, we haven't verified that, and we'll still see if that gentleman's willing to go on camera. But a lot of distress, as one can understand, amongst people who were here on site as those explosions and injuries happened, many of them fatal injuries. Again, we hear Panyaza Lesufi, Gauteng Premier, will be here at 1 o'clock. He may well want to answer some of the questions people have around the response times involved. We've seen plenty of first responders on site, and of course the big thing now is for those who are looking for loved ones, either survivors or deceased, to find them, to identify bodies, and to also tend to the injuries of those who were impacted by this devastating explosion today.
Now, Erin, before we let you go, it is clear that many people were impacted, particularly those that weren't at the actual accident scene. Do we know how far this explosion impacted people that were sort of in the vicinity? Because we do understand, certainly from some eyewitness accounts and stuff that we're picking up on social media, that the explosion would have had a secondary impact on people that weren't actually in the vicinity of the bridge.
Yeah, well, we're about 2 or 3 blocks from the actual site of the bridge where the explosions happened. And as you heard there, sort of 2 rounds of explosions, several blasts, vehicles being completely sort of blitzed to smithereens, you could say. And so the impact has included, at least in terms of seeing the smoke, hearing the sounds, the blocks nearby where I am standing now. So I don't know the radius in terms of the actual ricochet, you could say, of that tanker exploding. From what Paul told me, that was the last vehicle to, in fact, implode, you could say. But certainly people in the neighboring streets here were affected by it. In fact, one couple I spoke to have a gentleman who I think lives either on their property or a neighboring property. They're trying to find out where he is, if indeed he's alive. And speaking with some of the first responders who are saying we're going to get to a point where people will need to identify bodies as best they can. Bear in mind, many of these bodies will have third-degree burns on them, and there's no doubt that that death toll officially at 10 now will continue to rise. But we'll see what more information we can find out as we continue to report from the ground here in Boksburg South.
Erin Boats giving us that update on what's transpired since the explosions. In fact, a number of explosions having occurred this morning around that gas tanker under the bridge in Boksburg.